that you stayed home. Make you envy being alone. So two-step away with your Hubbard. Run away in the Oklahoma dark. You can try and can answer to say she just wasn't born that way. That way. That way.
I'm here with Carter Peaslee. This is John Carter, just so y'all don't get us confused. How you doing today, Carter?
Good, how about you, man?
Fantastic, fantastic. So I saw over Christmas we got a good axis deer from which ranch was it?
It's actually the one I live on here in Sonora. It's called Sandherd.
Okay, okay, perfect. And you're out in Sonora, but you're from Colorado City, Texas.
Yes, sir. Just a little bit town. You know, unless you're driving down I-20, you don't really know where Colorado City is.
That's the perfect type of town, to be honest. So what was growing up there like in such a small town? What did you do for fun? How did it influence you today?
Man, we really just did a little bit of everything. No, you know, it's a small town. Everyone knew everyone. No one had a curfew. We would literally just see how many people we could fit in a truck and just be teenagers all over the county. I mean, that's all there was to do. We would go around, varmint hunt, hog hunt, and then just see what beer we could steal off of someone's dad. And then that was pretty much all we did my sophomore, junior, and senior year of high school.
I feel like you just wrote a song right there. If you haven't already put those exact words of piling in a truck, finding varmints and hogs, stealing whatever beer we could find, I think that right there is a great song in honor of Colorado City.
Dude, I actually already wrote a song about Colorado City. It's called Stays the Same.
The one I told you sounds like Wade Forster, yeah.
Yeah,
That's a
that one.
fantastic song.
That's about growing up in that little town.
Love that. And now you're working out on Sandra Ranch?
Yes, sir.
And what do you do out there? What's a day-to-day in your life?
It's pretty much different every day. That's what I love about it. It's I grew up this is my family's place. I grew up out here as a kid, and then I dropped out of Tarleton and moved out here and started going to Angelo State, like an hour down the road. And day-to-day is every different. We also have a ranch in a town called Christoval, Texas. And I was out there today, and then I jumped from there to El Dorado and tag calves with my brother-in-law, and then, ended up back over here about 4 o'clock and tried to make it in time to hop on here.
Well, thank you for making that time, man. I know it's a lot, but that sounds like a good life. What is your least favorite part? And then what is your favorite part besides it being, different? A lot of it's the same old. However, just like you were saying, it's a different same old every day. So what would you say, though, is your least favorite, and, what do you look forward to every single day?
Man, my least favorite's definitely anything that revolves working with the sheep. I don't know if you've worked with sheep much. They suck.
Oh, I do it a lot.
I hate them. Stupidest animal you think of.
Besides a goat.
No, I definitely work goats way before I'd work sheep. That's 100%.
Really?
Oh, man, I hate them.
I've always preferred sheep. I guess
I think
everyone has their own
it's
taste.
It's definitely a prejudice thing with me. I don't know what it is with sheep. I guess it's where we've been working the last 3 days. We've been shearing, and because we run Ramble Lake.
Okay.
So
I get that. Never mind. I take that back. Shearing is the worst part.
I work Dorpers meat sheep all day long. The wool sheep, I hate life when it comes to those type of days. Yeah, it's miserable.
It's that way. The oil too, the heat. I mean, even if it's a cold day, man, and then they get a little stressed and they start following each other. That's what I don't like about goats. Goats don't have a lead. They don't really follow each other. So even if you have a great goat that you love taking care of, that doesn't mean that they're gonna rub off on the rest of the herd. And so you just have goats going crazy. Sheep at least follow each other, but on shearing day, any stress, they're annoying as hell.
Oh, dude, it's miserable right now because Friday, we out working. It was 25 degrees was the high on Friday, and then Monday was 70, and then yesterday was 90. My body wasn't used to it. Sheep weren't used to it, and our shearer couldn't get down. His truck broke down in Acuna. That's where he comes from.
Damn.
So I was shearing myself yesterday, and It was miserable. I hated it. Hate every second of working a sheep. Goats, I at least have dogs and horses to help me, so it's pretty simple with goats.
Fair
Sheep are
enough.
terrible.
Yeah,
They
I only
don't
had
listen.
siblings.
Yeah,
That's
see,
all I had
that's
to run goats. So, and
yeah.
we
I was gonna
also
say.
we showed, so that's different too. Our goats are very primed and pretty, and so are
Okay,
our
yeah. No, I
sheep.
was gonna say that's my girlfriend. She showed sheep, and she's all the time. Sheep are way better than goats. It's like it's totally different working them in a pasture than it is in a show barn.
Oh,
Totally
definitely.
different.
Now I do prefer showing goats. Sheep, and this is just a personal thing because I think I'm allergic to the oil. But every time I would sit, man, my inside of my elbow would just break out. It would get irritated from how much I was
Oh
working
man,
that
yeah. No, it
lamb's face
sounds
right there.
miserable.
Oh, it was terrible. But I also think they're prettier when I'm showing. Like I love seeing some good hinds to like set and building that out too. It's super easy because you just run them, make them do
Oh yeah.
jumps. It's great. Goats, it's a little different, but also like showing goats is just so much simpler, especially when you get a good one. Like you just walk it, set it, like you're good. You don't
Oh
gotta bend
yeah.
over
There's
constantly.
so it's and that's I showed for 1 year. It wasn't my thing. I tried it. I did goats though. I didn't mind it. I had buddies who did both, and they dreaded the sheep, and I was like, I see why. Then
Yeah,
yeah, I had buddies who showed steers, so I was like, you know what? I don't have it that bad. I don't
yeah.
really have it that bad.
Steers, if they get any type, like if you get any type of attitude out of a steer, I hate, like you can't show them. Now, if you get a nice one, those are fun.
Oh, yeah,
Those are
there's always a
pretty
story my
good.
grandma tells me. My mom showed steers. Mom and my aunt were big show people, and I guess my mom was like sixth grade, and her steer drug her out of the arena,
Hmm.
while my grandpa just yelled, "Don't let go" the whole time.
Yeah. No, you can't. That's
Yeah,
dude.
I
That's
know.
oh
That's all
man.
you can do.
I have way too many of those, but one in particular was my brother pisses me off. He won a buckle over me because his goat broke out and like we were the last two. It was the final call. Like Judge was making his last lap. He was gonna make his call, like going to the mic, and my brother's goat just bolted. Who ended up catching it? Me. And I just let my chain drop on my goat, Mia. I still remember it. And I caught his goat for him, went back to our setup. Mia was still set up and he won. I was pissed. I'm
Oh,
a
I would have been
respectful kid, but
furious.
man, I was not wanting to shake that judge's hand. I was like, what the hell is going on right here?
Yeah, I would have been furious.
I mean, I was too young too. My brother was too big, but if it would have been someone else, I only lost to my siblings. I say that uh, even at the in Kansas City, at the Royal, like I never lost to anyone but my siblings. And if I was any bigger, I would have fought them in the ring. But no, no, I had no opportunity to get back at them. It was aggravating. It was aggravating. But goats and sheep. Let's get back to you. Goats and sheep. What else do y'all got out there?
I do. We run everything. We've got goats, sheep, cows. We accidentally got into breeding horses. We bought a mare that popped out a colt we didn't know was pregnant. We really just have it all going on out here. Got dogs on our own.
And so y'all just kept going with it. Once you got that colt, you're like, you know what? Let's just keep going. Or just
Yeah,
is that the
well, the
last one?
mare we bought the mare got a really cheap. She's actually a great mare, short and stocky, just how I like them. And
Mm.
popped out a colt, and her colt ended up being a pretty rank little stud. And we're like, heck, you know, let's roll with it. Now
Let's
he's
keep
almost a
going.
year. I'm already throwing saddles on him. He's got groundwork down pretty good. I've got him halter broke really well. So we're like, heck, we're just rolling with it. We may breed her
So
back. We don't know yet.
yeah, you're just taking care of any stock you can.
Hey, man, take it any way I can get it.
Yeah, and so is that like your whole family is pretty knowledgeable all around, or like you were saying, like your mom's pretty specialized more in the show ring and
Well,
certain,
actually,
you
it's
know, stock?
so my mom's family is all rodeo cowboys. I mean, they ranch a little bit, not on real big term.
Yeah.
It's my dad's family. My dad wanted nothing to do with the ranch, and he doesn't really mess with it much. But I grew up out here, loved it so much, couldn't stay away. And the second I graduated high school, I hightailed it out here.
I love that. And so what were you going to study at Tarleton?
I was actually a construction science engineer.
Okay. And then you went out to, you're saying Angela State?
Yes, sir.
And did you finish there?
I'm about to. I graduate in August
Okay. And what are you getting your degree in?
in business management. I loved construction science, and I wanted to keep it, but they didn't have it. And I was like, give me whatever gets me out of here the fastest. Let's just roll with that.
And are you just going to transfer that and start running the ranch full time? Or do you want to take
I
that and maybe have the ranch as like your hobby farm? Like
I'm
my family
thinking
growing up, that's all we had.
It'll probably be a hobby after that. I mean, you know how ranches go. At some point, it'll get split up. My dad's got siblings. It'll go
Mm,
whatever way it goes. I just glad I have that degree to fall on, and hopefully music takes off, and I
yeah.
can get my own little piece of land going somewhere. But
Yeah, that's what I hate, man. But that's why I do everything I'm doing with Honky Tonk Traditions, because family broke up the ranch, and I'm trying to bring it all back. But that's not easy, and you know that's not easy. And so
oh yeah, no, it's
sometimes it
just
is smarter to diversify.
oh yeah.
Yeah. And so you also though have opened up for some great acts talking on your music. I even saw you had like the drop times, drop tens.
Yeah,
I
no,
don't even
I've
know. They
opened
have
for
an
the
E
drop
at the end of
times
theirs. Is
a
it
couple
It's
times
drop
now.
times.
Drop times yesterday.
Drop times. Okay, okay. I was like drop tens. I was like, no, it's not drop tens. It's drop times. And you've opened a couple of times. How has that been for you?
It's pretty good. It's always been there's a little bar, a little bit there's a bar in Angelo where a lot of big acts kind of pass through a lot called Blaine's Pub,
Yeah.
and man, just stumbled into. Lately, I've been their go-to for opening for those a lot of bigger names, and then that's the drop times. They got me once. I asked them once. A little bouncing off each other there. But no, it's great. I like those guys. They're all really cool. I've opened for them. I played a music festival with them in Albany way back when too, and they're all real great guys, just down to earth.
Yeah. Who have you connected to most on like when you're opening or playing with? Like who have you felt like I really connected with this group?
Man, that's I'd probably say the Damn Quails, but that's just because half the Damn Quails are my studio artists. Their bassist is my producer. I spent a lot of time with those guys, so I've got to know them really well. A lot of those Oklahoma boys, those are my boys now, and no,
Yeah.
definitely those are the guys I connect to the most with.
Yeah, I actually have a lot going in. We'll do it later on, but I want to talk about Red Dirt. And since you're from Texas and connecting with Oklahoma, that makes sense. Not only with who you're connecting with most, but also I'm curious who was like, it could be, you know, earlier on, or who have you really, I don't want to say looked up to, but you've been really happy, I guess, to be asked to be open for. You know, it's always a blessing to connect with anyone, but, you know, like, who did you kind of, in a sense, were impressed that they wanted you to open up, or you were just really loved their music, and you were like, I would have jumped at the opportunity any time in my career to open for them.
The first one would have been definitely Gannon Freeman and the CC Rev. They were the
Hmm.
first big names I opened for. And I still remember that day that I got the phone call. I don't even know if I don't think they even asked me. It was Blaine's, but then they came back and asked me later on to do it. But no, I still remember getting the phone call and freaking out, calling all my buddies like, "Y'all guys are never gonna believe this." I had like 2 songs out, like 100 monthly listeners. Didn't even have a band yet. I was just like, "You guys are never gonna guess where I'm going this Friday. Like, y'all have to be there." I wasn't even. I think I was like 3 weeks over 21 because I'd wanted to
Mm.
open before. But they're like, "We're not gonna let you in, dude. You're not 21." So
Sometimes you can
once I hit
push it.
21, they called me and I was over the moon about it. It was Gannon and Freeman were the first ones I could remember truly just being over the moon about.
Yeah, and then after him, who did you see that you're like, wow, this is good. This is really good.
Man, I'm trying to think. 'Cause after Gannon, there's been a lot of names I've jumped on with there at Blaine's. After Gannon, it was the drop time. I remember the drop times 3 or 4 times now there at Blaine's, but is Gannon the drop times? I've opened for Sterling Elza there. God, the Damn Quails. There's a lot. I can't think of who else now. I had to look at my little
Yeah. Hey, it
music
takes that
resume thing.
sometimes. And all the venues you played too, what would you say is you would always want to return there? Like you just really enjoy it. Maybe it can be sentimental to you.
I'd say that my favorite venue is definitely there's a little place in Abilene, Texas called Betty Rose's.
Okay.
It's a little barbecue joint, but the owner, his name is Zach Stewart, coolest man in the world. He's the first guy to ever give me a shot. I didn't have music out. I had like a few videos on TikTok and just GM'd him and was like, "Hey man, I'd really like to play in front of somebody. I don't have anything to offer you." And he's like, "I'll pay you. Like, I like your TikTok. Come on, I'll pay you." And my first gig, first paid gig, everything. And then even after that, he called me back a few times, open for a few guys over there and stuff like that. So that's always going to be the most sentimental place for me, probably. And I still talk to Zach to this day, even though I wouldn't say I've outgrown it, but I'm in a weird spot to where I'm not big enough to open as big shows, but I'm not a little bigger than just going to play on a Tuesday over there.
Yeah.
Now.
Yeah, but you got your start there, and it always takes one person just give you that shot for you to
Oh
grow
yeah,
out of
that's
it.
all it took, and I played, and he liked it. I was Zach a ton, he liked it a lot, and then man, the second I walked off stage, he's like, "Here's like 5 of my buddies' phone numbers that all own bars. Tell them I sent you. Send them a text." And I got like 2 or 3 shows after that. I was Zach a ton, man.
Hey, that's one of those return shows,
Oh
when you
yeah,
get to
no,
start making it
I
big, you
can't
just go
wait to
play
go
there.
back. That's another guy who got it. I don't know if he got his first start there, but Braxton Keith, when he was a nobody, was playing that bar a lot, and he still goes back to this day, and place holds like 100 people, and he'll bring like 600 people into that little bitty bar. And I was like, that's cool. I was like, hopefully I make it. I can do that for Zach someday, but right now
Yeah.
we're trying to get there.
That's what I love about Texas, to be honest, is there's so much talent here that it seems to keep everyone humble. But then there's also enough talent here that like seems to build some type of confidence. Like there's just something that most Texas artists they have, and they never lose that of that just like down to earth confidence that you want to be around. You know?
Oh yeah, no, there's always. I've learned pretty quick, I've always been real happy with where I came from. Like Angelo State, mainly, it's cool to say I'm from, out here where now West Texas is the cool place to be from for all these TikTok influencers and stuff. But like, Angelo State's put out Braxton Keith, Cat Hasty, Aaron Watts, and they all went to Angelo State. So it's like, it's cool getting to play these shows, but I remember I got more shoes to fill. Like I'm nowhere near where I want to be, so I don't have anything to brag about yet.
That's the mentality you need. That's the mentality to maintain. But starting out, when you were finally getting to form that band, picking out those people, and even now, you have to fill in or maybe form a full-time, band. What qualities do you look for, and how do you find your people?
Dude, so I lucked out. I graduated in my class. There was like 49 kids, maybe 20, 21 boys. Half my class can play an instrument pretty damn well, and there was a band for my buddies from high school that was already formed, and their lead, they were like a rock alternative band, and then the lead singer went off to physical therapy school, I believe, or chiropractor school, 1, 2, and they were just playing in their garage for shits and gigs, and I texted them and I was like, hey, would y'all be down to play Red Dirt? I need a band and y'all need a singer. And it's Colorado City. We've all been good buddies since pre-K. So like, yeah, dude, just come out. We'll see what we can do. And we hit nail on the head first try, and we've been rocking and rolling ever since.
Well, and they recorded with you. That's your recording band.
Not yet. I already had I was already signed with my label and had a whole bunch of stuff in plan by the time we formed the band. So I used studio artists for this last piece, this next 2 EPs that we've already cut that are going to come out in the future. But after that, they'll be with me for everything else.
Okay, yeah. Whoever's recording with you sounds fantastic. They've done really well. They have a great sound, truly.
Yeah, man, that's the beauty of it. We record in Oklahoma, and there's a lot of musicians in Texas, but per capita, Oklahoma's got some killers.
I think Oklahoma's in a great position also physically, that I feel like a lot of their musicians can find a lot of work because it's not much travel. And even if it is a long distance, you're still in the center of the nation. So it's half as much as anywhere else,
Oh, yeah. That's, the studio musicians I'm on. One of them was from Texas, but he bounced between. But other than him, like they were all based kind of in Oklahoma City. They'd hit Stillwater an hour away, Tulsa an hour and a half away, go to Norman 45 minutes down the road. There's so many gigs within a 2-hour radius. And they're like, dude, we're playing Oklahoma tour for 3 weeks, and we're not driving more than 2 hours, and we're back home every night. And I'm just like, gosh, dang, guys.
Yeah, and that market seems pretty great because it's diverse enough that you have a lot of different ages, college kids, you have old folk, you have middle, you have families. But also you have city folk, you have the rural areas, but yet they're all kind of the same since we're in that same area. We all know what we're coming up for. We know what we're showing up for.
Oh yeah.
But you have enough of a market to push out of that too.
No, 100%. It's insane. I'd say Oklahoma's got a pretty good thing going on right now.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. Oklahoma, being from Arkansas, Oklahoma hasn't always been my favorite state, but I will say in the country music scene,
I will say
Oklahoma
I'm from
pushes it.
Texas. It's hard to be a fan of anything in Oklahoma.
I think for me, it was always the land. I'm just not like, I guess it was just coming from like a farming family. That's the first thing I always saw. And during road trips through Oklahoma, like east, especially southeast Oklahoma, connecting with the Ouachitas, has some beautiful areas, you know. But outside of that, as soon as I start getting away from the Ouachitas or even like North Texas, I don't
Oh
know,
yeah.
man. I can't drive through it, so I don't like it. And also, all my the people. I have some great folks in Oklahoma, but I didn't like competing in Oklahoma, as
Yeah,
sports,
that's
everything else.
I can't stand Oklahoma. The land. I just hate being in Oklahoma for the most, and that's I'm just totally being prejudiced as a UT fan and
A thousand
everything.
percent.
I
Yeah.
hate Oklahoma. The best way to put it is so we finished cutting my EP at like 11, and well, I was going to my parents the next day, and they live in Snyder, Texas now, which is about an hour south of Lubbock.
Yeah.
It was like a 5 hour drive from Norman. I was like, I'll hit it, show up at 4 in the morning. Who cares? And I get going. I get like an hour down the road still in Oklahoma, and I missed an exit. And I was like, oh, no big deal. I missed an exit. I'll hop on the next one a mile and a half down the road. Like it's Texas, 33 miles to the next exit. I didn't get home. I didn't pull in there until my dad was leaving for work at like 5:36 in the morning. I was like, this is the stupidest state. Has to
hmm
be. There's no other way.
Yeah. Also, I seem to always end up in Oklahoma around, like, especially when winter was kicking up. And what I definitely hated there was how much ice there was. Never snow, never like hugely changing weather. It seemed as though they took to the likings of Kansas, where in Arkansas, even in the winter, you still get November and even February, it was kind of like Texas, a little colder, like a little less fluctuation, but we would still, November, it would be 30 degrees in the morning, 40 degrees in the morning, and then by afternoon it was 70.
Oh
And in
yeah.
Oklahoma, everything was frozen sideways. When I saw that first, I remember looking out one time and the field was frozen sideways because the wind had blown it over, rain hit it, and it froze. And I was like, I never want to live here.
Oh
Respect
no,
to the
not at all.
ranchers
It's
that work it,
miserable.
but oh, hell no. You can't catch me out there.
Well, I got a cousin who rodeos up there in Goodwill, and he'll send me pictures and stuff, and it would be like 65 here, and it would be 30 and iced over there, and I'm like,
Mm-mm.
that looks miserable. Like, how are
Not
you
just that, but
happy?
the roads.
Yeah,
Like,
I was like, no, not a
no,
chance,
how
man.
much you hit a pothole there out there, you're dead. You
That was the
die
other
out
thing. The
here.
potholes really took me as a surprise. I was not ready for that.
And you can
You know, every,
tell as soon as you cross the border, Texas or Arkansas. Arkansas doesn't even have that good of roads, to be honest. But as soon as we crossed into Oklahoma, even on the turnpike, brother, like you got to be careful. You got to watch. You
oh
can't be looking
yeah,
around.
that was
You
the
better be
first
ready to
night I was
dodge.
in Norman. I didn't know anyone, and my producer wasn't coming till the next morning. I knew nobody in Norman, Oklahoma. And dude, I nailed the pothole. I thought I broke my axle. Like I had to pull over and like get under my truck and check everything. It was terrible.
Especially if you're pulling a trailer too, they'll have some of those covering a pothole, and it'll throw like your truck will roll, but then it hits your trailer, and you got to be careful,
Oh
really
yeah,
careful out there. If you don't have enough
it's
weight,
terrible. I hate Oklahoma. I try to avoid
jeez.
it as much as possible.
Well, we're not going to cut this area out, but we can't go too long on a rant about Oklahoma. Our listeners there might
I was
might
gonna
not
say
like it, but
I'll be here for 3 hours and we keep ranting about
we'll circle back to our first point that we love Oklahoma
it.
and the country music scene, and we love the people from there, and
I
that's all
love
that
the people of
matters.
Oklahoma. Greatest
Hell
people.
yeah, we love
Hate
our
the roads in
Okies,
Oklahoma.
and my mom's an Okie, so I can't say too much, but
Fair enough.
um, focusing though on your music when you're in that studio, going back to that. Uh, do you get any say in the production, or do you kind of trust your guy? Not this isn't on him specific. I'm
No,
saying when
it's
you're producing music, but also if you do get a say, like what are some inspirations and what do you look for in that sound that you want on? It changes from record to record, even song to song. But is there a specific thing for you? Like, man, I really like to make sure our fiddle gets a little more attention, or I really want it to have this type of grit in it, or this I want to really put our vocals at the same. Like, what do you have anything there in production?
dude. Well, yeah, it like you said, it really varies record to record. Parker McCollum said it best too. Like an album is just what's going on in your life at that time,
Mm-hmm.
and that's like my first EP. I cut it with a different producer. My original producer was the original drummer for Trudy Oak Revival, and we cut it in
Mm-hmm.
Odessa, and you could definitely hear the alternative subgenre in it. You can hear that rock. And then, like, we went up to Oklahoma, and this producer, his name's Caleb Schertram. I trusted him, like, full on. His father-in-law is Mike McClure. I originally started it with Mike, who did all the cross-Canadian albums, the original Treaty Oak albums. Well, Caleb, he didn't co-produce those, but he was in the room helping with all those. He kind of knew what was going on. So when I got with Caleb, I was just kind of like, dude, here's what I have. Here's the roughs me and Mike did. I trust you. This is kind of the idea I have. Let's just roll with it. And he's like, I'll get some artists together, and we can just bounce some ideas off each other. And, man, we got in a studio, and he's like, just tell me to stop when you don't like it. And he just kept going, and I was like, I like it. I like it. Let's just keep going, man. And then we ended up just finishing the whole EP.
Love that. Love that. Speaking of Parker, we call him a Limestone Kid. Your song, what inspiration do you have from Parker? What was going on at that time? Like, just tell me really as much as you'd like about that specific song.
Dude, so that song was written on a crazy night. I was living in San Angelo there. I was going to school at Angelo State, and my roommate had this girl come over. And she had a tattoo gun, and next thing I know, we were running a tattoo parlor in our living room for a little bit of cash. And then, man, dude, she came from New Mexico. It was like, I had these little gummies. You can try them. And so, like, we didn't know what we were doing. We didn't do that kind of stuff. We took way too many gummies. And next thing I know, I was in my bathroom, long night short. Dude, I woke up with that song, and then I wrote 2 songs that night. I can't, the other one's When I Had You to Be on this next EP. I wrote 2 songs that night, totally just off those gummies and whatever liquor we had in our cabinet. But yeah, no, that's totally how I wrote it. There was really no true like inspiration behind it. I just thought, man, this would be a really cool idea. And I just started it, and I was like, I like it. And then I just woke up the next morning, it was completely written. And then obviously there were some parts that I woke up and was like, that was kind of stupid, and I tweaked here and there, and I got it more studio ready, but that was kind of the main gist of how we came together with the whole song.
Yeah. And didn't she move in for a bit?
Dude, she lived there for like 2 weeks. We couldn't get rid of her. And I don't mean that in like a mean way. Like, I liked her. I can't remember her name now, but she was nice. But it was like one of those things where my roommate was like, I just wanted to stay the night. And now it's like day 13, and, you know, and I was like, yeah, we got to find something. I think we both ended up, we're just like, we're going to go see our parents for the weekend, you know. Hopefully you're not here when we get home. And my roommate's parents lived like half a mile down the road. He was from San Angelo. And yeah, she ended up catching the hint there. But yeah, no, she like tried to move in with us, and we were like, you know, that really wasn't kind of like the idea here.
Goodness. But hey, at least you got 2 songs out of it.
Yeah, that's true.
Goodness.
It was a wild week and a half there.
Yeah. When it comes to not consuming in the sense of cannabis, but consuming art, music in general, how well do you consume other people's music? Do you catch yourself nitpicking certain things? Do you catch yourself listening and caring more about, you know, like the production or the rawness of it? Or are you really good at just kind of sitting back, or especially at live shows, are you good at just sitting back and just taking it in?
These are live shows. I don't know, like, I guess I've always enjoyed live shows. I got 100 of them before I did music. But really now, like, that I'm in music, I treat live shows more like homework, if that makes sense. I'll go see these guys who've been doing it their whole life, and I'll go watch it. I'm like, what are they doing? Like, what do I need to do that they're doing to keep people involved? And that's something, I really pride myself in my crowd work. I feel like when, you know, if I got a full band behind me, I can really get people into it. And I've spent so much time, you know, if I'm just at home, I put on live performances on YouTube. I've watched Woodstock 99 100 times over, probably. Kid Rock kills it. I'm man enough to admit I'm a Kid Rock fan.
You don't have to always be a fan of everything he does, but you can still be a fan of his music.
I listen to anything you put on. My playlist will go from Sinatra to Blink 182 really fast.
I love that. It's actually something I want to ask after this, but I do want to put a pin to let other artists know One side, if we are Honky Tonkin specifically, I'll speak on Billy Bob's. If you want to keep people entertained, you don't have to tell a story in between each song. Like there are certain songs we love here in the background, but if you want to keep people entertained, they're not hard if you just keep it rocking and rolling, you
Oh
know?
yeah.
But also the second is that in a lot of venues, and I don't know if this is, AV's fault or what, or if it's just the country scene and they're too used to rock or something, half the time we cannot hear what people are saying. So people will give like a heart and soul or tell a joke, and like we don't know what you're saying. And to be honest, that almost throws me back to like old honky tonkers. You didn't have to be the best vocalist. As long as that steel was coming through, the percussion was coming through, and like the fiddle with the rhythm guitar, we were dancing, we were having a great time, and we think you're extremely great. When you try to take it a little too far, and we can't hear the joke or do anything, it's actually a negative. So, whatever you have to say on that.
Oh no, dude, I completely agree. That's like when I play. I'll talk here and there, but for the most part, I've spent a fair share of time in those small bars. I know you don't know what I'm saying. That's a lot of my set list is based off of tune, not lyrics. Not
Hmm.
my stuff, but like we're gonna cover, and that's honestly how Limestone came about. Was I wasn't gonna cut it. I had another song that's gonna be on this next EP that was in its place,
Hmm.
and then it was kind of like a social experiment. I was lyrically, Limestone Kid's terrible in my opinion. Like it's so basic. I threw it together so fast, like clearly, but it's got such a catchy little like beat. Like you just kind of like you're into it for a little bit
Hmm.
there, the drums and all that. And we put it out totally under that idea of they're not going to care about the lyrics, they're going to like the tone. And now it's my most listened to song by a mile because everyone just loves the tone of it. They can feel the drums in it and all that.
Hmm. The good little melody. And that's all it takes. That's all it takes sometime. But you were saying, your playlist can switch around a lot, and I'm curious, like, who is your guilty, or if you want to tell me multiple, like, who is your guilty artist or a specific song outside the genre that even you might be embarrassed to tell the boys?
Man,
Like, I'll
I'm
tell you,
big.
I think Chaperone, I think there's certain things she says that are kind of cringy. But dude, I can get down to some Chaperone. I'll
I
admit
don't
it.
mind Chaperone. I've listened to my fair share. I'd say my guilty pleasure, and it's not that she's a bad artist. I just wouldn't put her on the car if my buddies were with me. Morgan Wade, 100%.
Good. Okay, yeah. What about outside the genre? Because I get that. I get her completely. But outside the genre, what would you say?
Outside the genre, man, I'm a big early T Swift guy. Like our
You're
song.
counting early T Swift outside the genre?
Okay, yeah, that was kind of stupid.
Like no, but I'm and that's not guilty to me. I think early T Swift is killer. I like give me some more of that,
Dude, I'll
But
play.
like
I'll play our song, not daily, but pretty regularly. Um, man,
15
outside the
still has a
genre.
special place in my heart. I still remember when I was 14, I listened to 15 when it first came out. And that's we're probably a
Oh
little
yeah.
different of age on that, but like, dude, 15, I thought life was gonna be like that song. But I
Oh
still
yeah.
randomly go back and play that, and I'm like still in my feels.
No, I. Other than that, I'm trying to think of. Man, dude, Panic at the Disco is a good one.
There you are. There you are.
I was
And
gonna
that
say.
actually, that's something too I want to talk about is angst. I don't know if you had another guilty pleasure artist you wanted to talk about.
Uh, Other than them, I'm a huge alternative guy. That's my older brother never really was the country guy. I'd get in his car and it was more like Fallout Boys, Beastie Boys, stuff like that. He's the one who introduced me to Blink 182, all those guys. I have an entire playlist that me and him sat down and made, and that's half the songs on there I'd call guilty pleasures. They're not stuff that normal people, my
Yeah.
my country buddies would listen to.
Oh, 1000%. I mean, my brother was the same, so actually we're very similar in this. So this actually this part of the conversation is going to go really well because my
Oh yeah.
brother as well, and I try to explain to people too that like anything I talk about, I am very opinionated. I am very, I see the boundaries, right? And it's kind of hard to explain the boundaries what I see as like agrarian culture. And in no way am I trying to control that, right? I'm
Oh
just trying
yeah.
to get people to understand that either you have to, if you're going to represent our culture, you either need to do your best to represent it well, as in throw on a cowboy hat, throw on at least a agrarian hat of some sort, just throw on a fucking Cavender's hat. I don't care. Try
Yeah.
to wear a button-up Western shirt, you know, or at least jeans. Wear jeans and boots. That's all we ask, because everyone wears that. I mean, I wear overalls to let people know I'm a farmer, but
Yeah.
I know a lot of cowboys that wear it. You know, like at least try. But on the flip side, if like they also can't catch to the fact that I think I actually just defended Vans as Western, and people don't get it, and I'm like, it's because you're not in the culture. You don't recognize that. Growing up in a town of less than 3,000, after football practice, I would jump in my brother's green F-150, and we would drive listening to 50 Cent. We'd listen to Blue October. We'd
Oh yeah.
listen to Breaking Benjamin. We'd listen to everyone you named. We'd listen to also, oh my gosh, what's his name? Uh, Gabriel Iglesias. Like we would listen
It's a
to what's
legendary bull right
popular
there.
and go into there. They don't recognize though that like we are country, therefore because we're comfortable together, we can go out and listen to whatever we want with our boys and be like that's fine. But it's when we get in the car and someone's like, "Oh yeah, I'm a country this or country that," and they play something like that, you're like, "I don't trust you. Like
Yeah. Like
I
I
don't
was
fully
gonna.
believe you." You know?
Yeah. No.
So
I get exactly what you're saying.
it's hard to explain it, but that's curious too. Where I want to kind of I want your insight on it. On first, what would you define as country music, and then how would you separate country from western? And again, if you are like, brother, I don't know, I get it. I'm kind of in the same boat, which is why I ask almost every artist this question. But I'm curious where you would like, as technical as you'd like to get, as emotional as you'd like to get with it, or if you want to use artists as an example, where do you kind of draw the line between what is country, and then what's the difference between country and western to our listeners?
Man, I always felt I was never really cowboy enough to be like you're not country. So I've always gave a pretty good pass, man. Like in like today's world too, you know, you got guys who are like Trudy Oak Revival's the best country artist, and I'm like, well, I know Sam Canny, he's a great guy. I don't know if he even call himself country, but you
Well, they
know,
don't
if
call
you're gonna
themselves
call it
honky tonk.
country,
At Billy Bob's, they literally opened, and that's what kind of I love Trio Revival. But one of the things that pissed me off, they were at Billy Bob's, and they literally halfway through were like, "By the way, we're not a honky tonk band," and I was like, "Guys, I get like we know you're not, but like don't say that on this stage. Like, come on."
well, that's the thing with Billy Bob's too. Now, like I'll look at who's playing Billy Bob's, and I mean they got like Giovanni and like
They're
who
selling
else
out
is
Paul
just.
Wall and OT.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I wouldn't even really call Billy Bob's a straight running honky tonk anymore. It's just at this point, it's just a big venue
Yeah,
who they. I mean, they just had Mac Hankin and the Moonlighters, who were the farthest thing from country music. I like Mac Hankin's music; it's good music. Are they really country? They're probably country boys from East Texas, but their music just not. And that's like my first EP. I wouldn't even really call that as much country. I mean, we had an acoustic guitar in there, but is that really just gonna make it country? You know,
yeah. What would you define? Like that's what would you define as country music?
I
And
guess when it comes
it
to
can be a
country,
loose guardrail. We can put out a loose fence. I call it fence mending. This is what I'm doing right now with cultural. I'm not gatekeeping. I'm culturally mending the fences. You know, like giving this person
I,
a pen, giving this person a pen, you know, and letting them still be in the same pasture.
well, that's like I guess in the day's world, I always look at lyrics when like they're like, "This is a country song." It may sound country, but I'm gonna listen to your lyrics before I listen to your music. I'm gonna read your lyric page, and it's gonna tell me right off the bat if this is country music or if it's not country music.
Mm-hmm.
It's like a bar song by
Yeah.
Shabuzi. Love it. Great song. So catchy. Not at all country. But there's some Treaty Oak songs I'd call more country than that. You know, it's
Mm-hmm.
stuff like that. I call lyrics are where I define country and where I don't define country.
And what about in those country songs that aren't lyrical, like we said? Because it happens, you know, like when it's like about the even George has songs, and both Georges, where it's like much more about the feeling, the tune.
Oh
What
yeah.
would you define as like a country tune?
That's a tough one. You may stump me on that one.
Well, I'll throw mine out, and I'll see if this, you know, what you agree and disagree with, and and it might also inspire you a certain way. I speak on the same lyrics. I think songwriting is extremely important to country. That's what separates us from everyone else. Specifically, play on words. Puns make us, and that's why I still think in
Oh
our
yeah.
Renaissance we need Brad Paisley's type songwriting. Which, oh man, I should have remembered who it was. but there's someone recently, and they have 2 songs coming out, and both of them are very Brad Paisley-ish. Where even Brad Paisley himself is starting to come back, but his most recent song was trash. Son of a Mountain, though, highly suggest to anyone. But going back to it, gotta stay, I can't digress. Songwriting, puns, fun type of, even when it's about something sad, it's about making that pun, you know. But then when it comes to instrumental, like without lyrics, let's just say, because I don't think everything has to be super deep. That's not what country is. When it comes to that, one is instruments. We have specific country instruments, you know, banjos, fiddles, steel guitars, stuff like that. But I think it's specifically it should be able to be played live. That's why I will instantly discredit, and if you put anything that's like 808s, or you put auto-tune or snap tracks, you're instantly an alternative country for me, specifically like Nashville or even like hip-hop country, you know? So that's kind of where I go when what is country, which opens it. That leaves the umbrella wide, but it clearly defines of like, it shaves off those edges where people want to argue. It's like, no, there's no argument. Just stop. You know, like it's.
I completely agree. That's a better way to put it. Is what I was trying to say is, I guess that's a better way of saying what I was trying to say. The Shabuzi argument is definitely. Can you play that exact tune in a garage for me and you? You know, is it gonna sound exactly like that, or are you gonna need?
And that's where skill comes in. Yeah, that's where it's not like skill comes in too. When people want to say, "Oh, this is the best country artist," I'm like, "Sing it to me live." He's not a vocalist. He's not this. He's not that. He might be the best songwriter, which again, that's no discredit to anyone. He might be also have like the best band. I have certain artists I won't name out of respect to them. I think their band is like out of this world. I think their singing is like very low. But that's the beauty of a country band, is that if he can sing a great message and he also is a great songwriter and he has a band behind him that takes him to the moon, he's going to become a great artist. But too often, country music is so belittled because we don't recognize these guys can be great vocalists and not good like songwriters, you know, or not good artists as a whole. I mean, we do it in pop music. When pop music, we have some of the greatest singers, but they don't write their own music and they're not good performers, you know? So.
Oh, dude, 100%. That's, who is the pop artist I'm thinking of now? There's one who, I don't even be able to think of it, but, no.
Look at someone as simple as Ariana Grande. Like, she is put up there really high, but I mean, you also have great pop artists, and not necessarily pop, but like Celine Dion. Does she write her own music? Who the fuck cares? Like, truly,
exactly.
Who gives a shit? Like, she is an insane vocalist. And too often, I mean, Brett Eldridge, I'll name him. I would love to see him team up with a damn good country band and make good country music. Is he going to? Probably not. He's making too much money in the Nashville, the doo-wop bands type stuff, you know? But his Sunday Drive, Long Way Home type song, like, killer. And he's a killer artist, you know? But on the flip side, we have Blake Shelton. Blake Shelton is, to me, a top 5 vocalist in country music. Is he dropping country music? Hell no.
No.
Like, his country music is terrible, so therefore, I can't even put him in our greats, you know?
Yeah, that's true. And there's so many, there's so many people that don't even get talked about, too. I think, the 2 best vocalists in the game right now are Chris Stapleton and Marcus King. By Marcus King, and they're 1A and 1B. And there's a pretty good gap. I mean, pretty solid sized gap.
I would say Marcus King is up there on artist, especially if we talk subgenres, which is what we're going to get into. I would say Marcus King is definitely like up there. I don't put him in my top 5, but I see what you're saying. I think he's artist wise, top 5, top 10, easy.
I was going to say, if you watch him play guitar, it's hard to be like, hey, he's not top 5.
Exactly.
That
when
dude
it comes
can
to
play guitar better than just about anybody on the earth.
Exactly. And so if we're just talking vocals, though, like Chris Stapleton is clearly up there. Also just because there's also people don't talk about this, but this is why people want to say, and a lot of artists try to play the like cool card of like, I don't like genres and like subgenres are distracting us. I'm like, how do you build your market then? Are you going to compete against Chris Stapleton? No. Like, shut up. Like you're trying to be so like hippie and like I'm whatever I want to be. I understand you want to be put in a box, but in the end, those boxes help us. One, reward the artist. Because Marcus King should not have to compete with Chris Stapleton when it comes to vocals, right?
No, not
but
at all.
when it comes to overall, like, the greats, let them fight. However, I want Marcus King to be able to play blues and rock, and I want him to go into that arena. And not also, let's talk Cody Johnson. Cody Johnson's a great vocalist, but should he have to compete against, like going out in the Appalachians and go against Chris Stapleton?
Yeah.
Hell no. That's like trying to get a fish to climb a tree. It's unfair to both, right? And so subgenres are so important to be able to represent specific artists, especially like you. Like, putting you in a category is extremely hard because I think we have like subgenres that haven't been, one, well managed. They're not maintained well because everyone wants to be like, they want to just jump into Texas country and be like Cody Johnson, or they want to jump into just Red Dirt and be, you know, the next Turnpike Troubadours. But in the end, I'm like, certain people I try to tell them, like, if that is what you're going for, man, you are never going to feel successful.
Oh, yeah, no.
You know? And so for you, speaking on, and this is where I'm kind of heading, is then with country, what about Western? Do you have any opinions on, like, how do you separate the two if one of your friends asks?
Man, Western, the difference between country and Western is one's live the lifestyle and one's sing about the lifestyle. That's,
okay.
You know, I can listen to, I'm trying to think, like Wade Forster. I listen to his Western song and I'm like, that's a personal experience. That's, yeah. Or I'll listen to damn Carson Jeffrey and I'm like, yeah, you know, he's singing about Marfa Alpine area because he probably definitely been there. Yeah, look at that guy. But then I'll listen to, like, you know, I'm trying to think of who else is out there. You know, someone from Nashville singing about rodeoing and stuff, and I'm like, dude, you're probably from like Detroit. You've probably never been to a rodeo. I mean, yeah. I get it. Everyone's got a paycheck to get somewhere, and I respect you for chasing it, but you're singing country music, but you're not Western. If that makes any sense.
Yeah, and I think that's like the new evolution of Western, to be honest, because also if we look like historically, Western, I mean, look at Marty Robbins. Everyone like mentions him as the Western guy, right? But he was a race car driver from where? Kentucky?
Yeah, no, and I'm a big Marty Robbins guy.
But he was Southern, and that's also what I think is so important. Is like people like Riley Green. Yes, he probably lives in Nashville now or something, and he drops a lot of country, but also give credit to the regions. He's Southern. Luke Combs also is Southern, and he releases a little more, you know, alternative type country, but he's Southern. We also have a lot of guys bringing back Southern rock. They're Southern, and like each region deserves that recognition because that's their culture. And I would agree with you that half of me says Western is the non-Gillies honky tonk.
Yeah.
Stick with me
that's
here.
That's a good way to put it.
Half of Western genre is you can expect across all really the steel guitar, heavy steel, but I see Western as like Buck Owens. You know, the Bakersfield sound, that's Western because that's traditional Western, like, that's what historical Western is. But now we've kind of started, and I think it's because of the influx of the Renaissance. I'm going to give credit to the Renaissance. In 2016, Sturgill Simpson, Tyler Childers populating us and making us so popular. We saw a huge flux of bluegrass in the East, but also in the West, we saw guys popping up, and Red Dirt was already growing heavily, but Red Dirt and Texas country kept us alive and afloat. And out of that, I think a lot of cowboys stopped saying I'm Texas country and stopped saying I'm Nashville, because those are the only two places you cared to be from, right? They started saying I'm from New Mexico or I'm from Canada.
Oh,
the
yeah.
fact that Coulter Wall is like, and now we have Noah Lyon Hoffman, who is doing so well, and they're both Canadian. And again, I don't know how much Noah Lyon is in it. I know she's been around it. Again, I'm not gonna. And that's the thing too is I don't want Western to also be a dick measuring contest of who's the punchiest, because I don't think that's what anyone wants. But in the end, she sings it raw, and I believe her, and that's all that matters. And so like half of the Western scene is classic honky tonk that's like dive bar feel, not Gillies, but the nudie suits and the sideways hats, you know, that's one side, and the other half is those cowboys that have come up. And that's where I'm glad you said that, because I'm curious with you, that's where I see Red Dirt scene splitting. Because Red Dirt also has a split. And I'm curious too what you see, because you love Red Dirt more than me. I don't want to say as much as me, because then that's to say I'm huge in it. But I do appreciate a lot of Red Dirt, because I define it as it's very close to Appalachian, but it's like the hillbilly poets. The guys that are like really country, but Texas country, but yet they're very like, how do I say it? They're much more poetic than a lot of the Texas cowboys are.
Oh
Like they're
yeah.
much more, and they're kind of they welcome a lot more of the hippies, and not hippies as like the '60s hippies. They're like the cannabis scene. It left.
Dude, so I did some deep diving when I was in Oklahoma. 'Cause
Come on.
I'm a big Red Dirt guy, and I can go on a 30-minute spill. Red Dirt was invented in Stillwater, Oklahoma, by Mike McClure. It was by Tom Skinner, who's got great artist, amazing songwriter. I don't think he has any music. I think his music's off Apple Music now.
Yeah.
You can find it on YouTube. A couple of songs were covered by Cross Canadian and Mike McClure Band. Mike McClure revolutionized it into the whole world. It's hippie poets that grew up in cowboy settings. That's all it is. And it's my type of people. I cowboy, but I grew up. My stepmother's very hippy dippy. Burning the sage and love all. And I've taken so much from her. I just like her, and I fall in that category extremely well. And that's why I love to be a part of Red Dirt scene. Nashville's got this competition where we all want to be the best. And don't get me wrong, it's dog eat dog world. Obviously, I want to be the best there's ever been. Everyone wants to be the best there is. But Nashville's, I want to be the best, screw everybody else for the most part. I want the big deal. I want to beat everybody else to it. Red Dirt's, I want to be the best, but I want everyone else. We're all here doing the same thing. That probably is just a huge ramble. But no,
that makes sense.
I love those guys. Like I don't like Oklahoma, but I love the people of Oklahoma for that exact reason. I can't tell you, but if you're in the setting, Like I'll go into Oklahoma, you don't meet a stranger. We're all just here doing. It's just a bunch of hippies who want to make music. That's all Red Dirt is.
You actually just gave me a great image, because I don't know yet how I want to start teaching this and like using it, but a lot of people in Nashville want the stage, and you know what? How I'll say it. I want my honky tonk artists who want the stage. I want them to be performers. I want that Braxton Keith, my honky tonk guys. Get up there, start punching shit, like get up and like they're performers, right? That's the honky tonk world, and honky tonk I define as country dancing. Country dance, and it can be Western dancing, it can be anything like that. Nashville seems to be the type though that kind of took from with stadium country. Garth Brooks, they didn't just want the stage, they wanted the spotlight, right? Our honky tonk artists still need a band. There's no backtracks. It's live, so they need people around them that they can push to and they can perform with, right? It's the whole stage. Yeah. But Nashville wants the spotlight. However, I like what you're saying, and I don't know how far I want to take it, but instead of the one face out, Red Dirt seems to be a circle that all looks in. And there can be
exactly.
You can imagine it as like the bonfire. You can imagine it that way.
The best way to describe Red Dirt is you can take the people who revolutionized it, and there's a place, I believe it's called the Barn. I could have got that wrong. Mm-hmm. There's a name for it. Cody Canada talks about it in a lot of podcasts, stuff like that. And it was Mike McClure, Cody Canada, Stoney LaRue, Jason Boland, and one or two other guys in there. And it was never we have to be better than the next person. It was, I've got this show, but I'm going to bring you to open it. But then I have this next show next week. I'm going to bring this other buddy to open it. We're coming up together. We're doing music as a whole here. It's an everybody support everybody world kind of thing.
Well, as you grow, we grow. So and the thing is too, You might be better than me. And yes, and that's the thing too, is recognize real in the sense of I let's say we're both playing, and you're going to be a better artist than me because I can't sing for shit. But in the end, I might just be your opener. And the thing is, in the pop world and a lot of other worlds, that's a huge disgrace. Not disgrace, but I don't get to open. But no. I open then at a smaller venue, and you open for me. Excuse me, I'm the main I'm the headliner at a smaller venue, but you open for me there, so we both benefit, But if the other there to put on a show, and also it's your scene, it really doesn't matter. You just might get a longer set than the other guy, and guess what? Rest. Take advantage of that. But it's that point of we grow together, and it's a point we're on the same team. And that's what I'm trying to bring into the honky tonk, to be honest. The first comp I've ever done, and again, you can probably relate to it, but not fully, but there was only one comp I've ever done over the whole nation where I lost, and I looked to the guy and I was like, I'm happy I lost to you. I'm a competitive guy. I was a tri-sport collegiate athlete. I'm kind of I go for the throat in most everything I do. I want to beat people, and I also, every time I lose, I want to learn how to be better. But man, when I heard that they got first, I was genuinely happy because they deserved it and they were representing what I was representing. So the
Exactly.
champion was still like country dancing. So what does it matter if I win? Country dance won that night, you know? And so I think that's what I see too, yeah, in Red Dirt. And I'm curious what you see, because my hot take is that angst as a whole, like we're talking Panic at the Disco, I think angst scene is most alive in country music because of Red Dirt, and where I see now a split, because obviously we know Red Dirt, and I accredit Bob Childers, which again, that's to each their own, and we could fully break down what it is, but that's not what we care about. What we care about though is the sound and the people. And what I see between Red Dirt, Texas and Oklahoma, there's a scene that's like rock, and I call it Red Dirt rock, that Co Wetzel sound, you know, Giovanni, all those guys. But then that has brought in like nothing but angst, even Treaty Oak. And it's like the clearest sound of angst is coming through country right now. And they're singing about country stuff, they're doing country stuff. And yet, I could easily see my buddies who are only loving, you know, Breaking Benjamin, if we're talking Avenged Sevenfold or System of a Down, like they would go to those concerts
Oh
because
yeah.
it's so purely angst.
Well, that's the best way to put it. Is my uncle's. My uncle's like an old head. You know, he likes, you know, he's classic rock, Metallica, AC/DC. He hates country music. He never liked it.
Hmm.
And finally, we were at Thanksgiving this year, and I was like, "Wait, have you not listened to Treaty Oak?" And he's like, "I have like 6 of their songs downloaded. I love those guys." And I was like, "See, it's so." I was I was talking to a buddy about this the other day. There's always going to be a new form of music made, and it's always going to be based off what's new and what you grew up on. Is how I look at it.
Hmm.
Like the best way to put it is, you know, like Trudio, the lead singer, you know, he's a big Blink 182 guy, but he's from West Texas. You know, he grew up on George Strait. Well, then you go into the studio to record, and you write off your influences. If your influences are coming from 2 different genres, you find a way to match those. It's like my first record, or first EP, you know, we went in there with Turnpike lyrics, and we're like, yeah, let's fucking put a Blink 182 twist on this because I'm a giant Blink 182 fan. You know, I grew up on Turnpike, but I learned to love Blink 182. How can we match these? And then
Hmm.
now that we have this Texas country thing going on with Co Utzel and Giovanni, these kids coming up now are going to grow up on Texas country and find another genre to match it with. It's all about what's going to be next after this, is how I feel.
Hmm. And that's, I think, on one big thing, and why I make sure people recognize that I might speak very opinionated and strongly. I'm no way a gatekeeper, because gatekeepers are the one hearing these guys and not understanding that we need them in country music. And I don't want
Exactly.
to say need, but we want them. Of like, why would we not want talented artists? Especially like kind of off topic, but with a lot of the women in country, we lost our powerhouses from like 2000 when Stadium Country started, like 2000 to I'd say like 2020. We lost a lot of them because they had to go to pop to make money,
Oh,
and
yeah.
pop welcomed him. Pop loved him. I mean, look at Kelly Clarkson. I mean, Carrie Underwood is. People want to say she's country. She's not. Her first like album was 2 albums, and then even in those, it was very poppy. So it's like we
Oh,
don't
yeah.
take care of our people, and therefore they have to go elsewhere. It's about, again, making space, and so that's why I love trying to push things like Red Dirt Rock, is because it's easy to differentiate Red Dirt Rock and Southern Rock, because like what did you say, your uncle was
Yeah, my
the
uncle.
metalhead? Okay, he would probably clearly see it, and you see, I mean, he would understand it more than us because he saw it. But like Red Dirt Rock to me is like you're saying, I see metal, I see angst, I see like it's the guys you want to get a it's the guy, I see it kind of like alcohol. Like you're gonna
Yeah.
go into a bar and cause problems. It's the guys you get your DWI with, right? But
Oh,
then
yeah.
Southern rock is almost much more folk. Like it's the CCR, which is kind of cheating because that's there. But it's like it's the guy you want to smoke a doobie with while you're working on your car, and it's like most of the time the old heads, like that old head, where it's much more like I'm trying to think of not country bands that would be there, like John Mellencamp. No,
Yeah.
that's not hard enough. Geez, like non-country, because that's the thing too, is Southern rock was so easy to define then, because those guys were pretty much rock, like soft rock, but they wanted to be country. Um, Geez, it's just, I think the genre defines itself. CCR, Leonard Skinner, Allman Brothers, like that is Southern rock, and that's still today. And some of our guys, like my best friend JD Clayton, he's a good example of it, but they're so clearly, people want to say they're not country, but they are, and it's because they're Southern rock, and country for so long has relied too much on George Strait or Dolly Parton or like then pop country. Those are like our trinity. And if you're not picking a banjo, or you're not singing about Texas, or you're not cosmopolitan country, like you're not country. And it kind of pisses me off that we can't get more people like your uncle to recognize like this is country, and we are who we are, and like we're proud of it. And also those folks are welcome here. Like you're welcome here. These guys are welcome here. It's just a subgenre. If we're talking pure country, it's different.
Oh yeah, no, that's the beautiful thing about a Calypso concert is you'll have 15-year-olds and 55-year-olds there, all there, just ready to rock out, man. Just have a good time.
And also, that's the type of person. Like sometimes I want to go mosh, sometimes I want to go kick back, sometimes I want to dance. And we shouldn't make artists have to be all three of those. That's what's pissing me off. Is then that's when you get shitty albums. Is when you make someone like Cody Johnson play something he's not good at. Or when you make someone go to a different genre, it's not good, and it's not good art. Let them do what they're doing, and also that allows us to stop talking about greats and push them to be like the best. Be the best in your subgenre.
Exactly.
Fight in your subgenre, and guess what? Then, and that's what I love seeing is now Appalachian country said, you know what? Fuck Texas. We're gonna make the best genre we can out here, and they're splitting it into a ton of different subgenres, and every subgenre is thriving. And I'm not just talking from personal biasness. I mean, Sierra Farrell just won 4 Grammys. Like, they are killing it outside of our genre because people are listening and saying that's good art. And that's what I think also country artists need to start doing more is like, is it good art? Like,
exactly.
Are we doing good vocals? Are we training ourselves vocally? Are we playing good instruments? Are we producing it well? Are we giving people what's something we're proud of? Or are we just trying to play to our homeboys and being like, you just don't get it? No, we get it, man. It just sounds like shit.
Yeah, no, exactly.
Or you're trying too hard. Like you were saying about Nashville. You're trying too hard, man. Do you?
Exactly. No, that's Cody Johnson's a good example, man. I like what he's doing now, but like, dude, you could have stuck with. He could have been one of the godfathers of the old Texas country revolution coming in, but he went Nashville. Cody Johnson's first 2-3 albums, still to this day, are some of the best songs.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, don't get me wrong, did he ride him? No, but he killed him. I mean,
yeah.
I like Diamond in My Pocket. I mean, still, I get that song requested every acoustic set I've ever played. Still,
it's a Fort Worth set list. Like Nashville has their set list that everyone plays. Diamond in My Pocket is a Fort Worth.
I was in Del Rio, down on the border. I was playing a bar, and this lady came over from Acuna to listen, and she requested Diamond in My Pocket. That's where I just got pulled the example from. I mean, he could have been. I mean, he's gonna go down as, he's got 10 million monthly listeners. He's gonna go down as a pretty successful artist, but he could have been the best at his craft here.
But that's too, like, how do I say this? Being real with the times and also our special place. I think he's actually a great example if we keep going on him. He could have done that, right? Was it the time or place? No. 2010, when he started really breaking out, 2014 to 2016, even up to 2020, I feel like he played his cards the way they should have been played to be successful, and he's maintained true to his roots. But just like us having big brothers, like everyone needs that big brother, and he played the big brother role that took on the father of Nashville, the record labels.
Oh yeah.
And he fought them where he needed to. He almost shielded country genre to give the people what they needed. Again, great art, good vocals, good instruments, good message. And he maintained that while the little brothers and sisters came from behind and they had the freedom to do what they wanted, and form their own art, So could he have? Yes, but I think also, I'm not disagreeing with you at all, but I think also just in our listeners or anyone who's an artist listening right now, recognize like there's a time and a place to do certain things. And I'm really worried that in like 5 years, people are actually going to start talking down about people like Cody Johnson or Chris Stapleton even, where it's like, oh, they sold out, and it's like
Yeah.
they had to, but look how good they did selling out and maintaining us. And
Oh yeah.
also, I'm grateful that like we have folks like you who have the opportunity to just be themselves and find people that want them, and who knows, Cody Johnson when he's 70 might come back and get in with the kids and be like, you know what,
Oh yeah.
let's try to make one of these albums, and he might
Well,
kill it.
my favorite quote ever from Parker. Everyone hates Parker. Or they don't hate Parker McCollum, but everyone's like, "You're not the Limestone Kid anymore."
I actually was going to talk about that. Yeah, I forgot to mention that.
He's
Yeah,
one of my favorite quotes ever by him is, "I miss the Limestone Kid as much as you, but I don't miss the Limestone Kid paycheck." And I was like, dude, I get it, man. I love what I do. When I write a song, I don't have anyone else in my mind. I'm like, what do I want? What do I want it to sound like? I don't care about, I'm going to put it out in the world. If they like it, they like it. If they don't, they don't. I did it my way. However, if Nashville called and was like, here's $2 million to do it our way, I'd been like, you tell me what I need to sing, I'll be there tomorrow.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's, to be honest, too, there again, to each their own, and I do think that's important. Also, I would like to say on Parker, people also need to recognize they don't own anyone. And I think true fans, and also what we're seeing here and what I'm loving to see from especially folks like you, as you grow, you're going to show it even more. But it's the fact that as fans, we need to follow artists. And I think for too long, the country scene has been trying to prove that they're country. And so many artists have, on one side, either gone too far into try to prove themselves, and they became alternative Nashville pop guys.
Oh,
On the flip side, we have too many people that were like, screw Nashville, like, blah, 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 and like, down with the record label, and they ended up just making really bad art. And both ways, I was like, I don't like either of y'all. But now we have people that are able to say, whatever that artist makes, if Parker decides to go rock and roll, if he decides to become an Elvis impersonator, or if he decides to go into whatever album, at least I know I trust Parker to do that, and he's still a country artist. I mean, look at all the guys we had, collabing. I mean, Willie Nelson collabing with Ray Charles. Like, let's go back, and that's I think in the next decade we're going to enter that era where we start just seeing artists pop up in other artist shows. Billy Joel popping up on Garth Brooks' stage. Artists wanting to be with other artists, and they're proud to be country. And that's also one thing I actually will mention. It's not as strong because it's a personality trait. I think anyone who's a country artist, especially Western artists, should be outlawed. Like, they should seek to fight the system. Not after, not post 9/11, and now we're kind of seeing it's always been since the Cold War, but we should be seeking to serve our nation, not our government. Especially any type of authority, we should always try to stay true to ourselves, where it's like that of definitely feed your family. If it's $2 million, it's $2 million, but also there's going to be a point if you're a country artist where it's like someone could hand you a paycheck with so many zeros, and you look at them and you just say, fuck off. I'm not going to serve you. I'm not going to do that, because of where I'm from, my people, who I believe in, and we're a culture, and I think that's coming back too.
Oh yeah, no. There's a lot of people, especially now. There's some real road dogs who are just like, forget a record label. I'm just gonna grind it out, man. I got a buddy named Jackson James.
Yeah.
And I think he played the artist spotlight. Dude
plays I just interviewed him.
Really?
Yeah,
dude, he does 200 shows a year or something crazy like that.
He'll actually listen to his episode one or two before you, and he actually talks about the balance between road dogging and a healthy home and life balance.
Yeah, no, dude, he's one of those straight up just, I'm gonna road dog it. I don't care what anyone else has to say. I'm doing my thing and I'm road dogging it, and I respect it so much. I've always loved that about him.
Oh yeah, he's a fighter, and that's what really matters, And dude, God, I think we're gonna have to bring you back on. I feel like we could talk for another 2 hours, and we might need to. Maybe we need to get a bonfire out soon and sit around with maybe an unmarked mason jar and just talk about stuff.
Dude, I'm all for it.
I want to respect your time. I want to respect these folks' time. And so, what can you give them? Any shows you got coming up? Maybe social media they can follow. Anything you can look forward to? What do you got coming to that they might be interested in?
Dude, we've sold it. We booked a lot of places in April. We're hitting the road again in April. I spent a lot of time off. I got behind here at the ranch. I've been trying to catch up everything. But April, we're hitting it hard, dude. We'll be in Mason, Texas. Then we're back home at Colorado City for a gig. Actually, they're opening a new place down there. Then we're in Lubbock with Parker Ryan.
Come on.
And then, dude, I'm trying to think if we're. And then after that, we're in Goodwell, Oklahoma. We're playing a ranch rodeo up there. And then after that, our big show is we're playing a festival in August in Albany, Texas. And legally, I'm not allowed to say he's going to be there, but some of the boys from Oklahoma are coming down for that one. Not cross Canadian. They've got a gig somewhere else but a couple of those boys that were at the barn with them will be there, and so it'll be a damn good time.
We love our yellow house. We love the yellow house out in Stillwater.
Oh yeah,
So
some of those guys will be there, and then I'll be kicking it off for all of them, and so it'll be a pretty good time. But on socials, I'm just Carter Peaslee on everything.
Perfect, man. Well, dude, I'm really proud of what you've done so far, and I'm looking forward to what you got coming. And you'll have a new release though coming out. What is that one called? Can you give it to us?
Yeah, it'll be called The Actress. It's coming out in end of March. We don't have a set date yet. I'm still waiting on my album cover to get finished drawn.
Okay.
But the second that's done, we'll throw it up there. And second to last Friday of the month, or the last Friday of the month. We're not sure yet.
All right. So end of this month, we'll have it out. But follow Carter Peaslee on social media to stay up with it. Again, man, really proud of you. Stay true to yourself and keep doing it. It's been a pleasure to have you on the show, man.
Yes, man. I appreciate it. Anytime, man.